What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now on today's episode, it's very hot and very midsummery, but we're going to get some work done today. And for today's menu, I'm going to be doing that bad boy right there, the Wagon Wheels deadlift, which if you recall from my last video, that was actually the opener for my video. And now I'm actually going to be doing this today. Just filmed it on a different day for that intro. And I'm also going to be doing some weighted ab mat sit-ups as part of my strength giant set. And I'm also going to be running to and from down the street and back at a designated point and then turn back around, which is going to be 200 meters on the dot. And all that's going to be done right now. So let's pop into today's workout. Let's see what we can get done. Now for the strength giant set, like I said earlier, I'm going to be doing the deadlift and I'm going to be using the Wagon wheels. And we'll get into that a little bit later as to why I'm doing this particular lift. And as I go up in weight, I'm going to be doing some weighted ab mat sit-ups. And I made sure that I was doing it on the incline part of my bull pin so I can get an incline weighted ab mat sit-up. And then I would immediately jump up and then I would do a 200-meter run to a designated spot, and then I turn around and run it back. And that's going to be the strength giant set for the day. So now as you're looking at this thing, you're probably wondering, isn't this cheating? It's a lot higher than a normal deadlift, which the closer something is to your knees, it should be a lot easier to get above. And that's technically true. But the wagon wheel deadlift is actually a staple in Strongman. So you'll see implements like these where it's raised deadlifts, either from the wagon wheel level, which is about 3 inches off the ground from a normal deadlift, and maybe even to the knee or above the knee. So if you're a strongman, it is more advantageous to practice with this and to get good with it. And since I do consider myself a very tiny strongman, I guess that I need to practice with this. But another reason why this thing is used often is because it's used as a training tool. A lot of people have trouble at the lockout when it comes to getting it right above the knee. When you shift to the knee, that's using a lot of leg power to get the bar from the ground to your knee. Then you need to use your upper back a lot more to hinge through and pull your hips through. And usually that sticky point is right about the knee area because that's when different muscles have to take over. So with that being said, the wagon wheel used in conjunction with the deadlift. So if you do like a regular deadlift last week and then you do a wagon wheel deadlift, then you're able to actually train that really sticky portion that people get stuck on. Now the kicker to that is if you only train using the wagon wheels and then you try to go back to a deadlift, like let's say you take like 3 months of only training on the wagon wheel deadlift, trying to get good at it, and then you try to go back to the deadlift, it's not going to carry over very well. Now essentially you don't need wagon wheels. You could be pulling deadlifts from the rack, which are actually called rack pulls. And you could get it about to this height that the wagon wheels are set at, or you can even raise it a little bit higher. The problem with doing that is, again, rack pulls don't carry over very well into deadlifting. It's different mechanics. And what I like about the wagon wheels is I'm using the exact same setup and the same exact mechanics that I use in a deadlift. It's just raised a little bit higher. So since that's the case, since I'm using the same mechanics as I do in a deadlift, and it's not the same as mechanics as I would do in a rack pull, then it does actually benefit me to use the wagon wheels over the deadlift because I can get a lot more weight on the wagon wheels. And I was kind of on a side mission in the beginning. I was only using the overhand grip with no straps and no belt until I got to 365 pounds. Then once I got to 405 and above, that's when I threw the straps on and the belt on and only concentrated on doing 1 rep and seeing how high I can get. But the ab mat sit-ups and that 200-meter run really does help a lot when it comes to the deadlift, because it makes sure that everything is working together and primed. So all the big muscles, but all the little muscles that support the big muscles, they're all awake, they're all warm, and by the time I get up to my top set, I'm ready to pull max amount of weight. So the side quest is now officially over, and now I'm actually going to throw on a belt, and I'm going to use the straps, which I haven't been using up to this point, because I think it's pretty beneficial to work the overhand grip without any gear, just to see where I'm at naturally. Because that bar likes to roll towards the weakest point of your hands, which is going to be the thumb. And I don't want to do a mixed grip because mixed grip is how I actually pop the bicep off the bone. And I keep showing between every take how I would get up and immediately start running right away because I'm 40 years old. And I want to show people that even though you're 40, you're still able to lift heavy weight and to get up off the ground, which is sometimes a lot harder than lifting this weight. And I have a lot of friends that are lifters and they have lifted the deadlift from the wagon wheels. And they actually tell me sometimes that they do better just doing a normal deadlift than a wagon wheel deadlift. And how can that be? Because it's a lot higher off the ground. Well, that's because, like I said before, it's a different kind of a movement if you don't use the same exact mechanics. And so when you add 3 inches up from the ground in this manner, it actually throws off a lot of deadlifters because they like to use that hamstring stretch reflex at the bottom of the lift. And this kind of takes it away because it begins directly under the knee, and it's a lot harder to get into a really solid position when it's like that, especially when you put your feet in a certain position every single time you lift from the floor. Then changing that stimulus throws you off completely. This is my top set for the day. Those are 15 pounders to make it 485 pounds on each side. And then I added that 2.5 pounds to each side to make it 490 pounds total. And this is the most amount of weight that I'm ever gonna lift on this wagon wheel. So I was very excited for this, but also very scared. I just knew that I had to be very patient getting it off the ground, which is what I do. Once I feel that tension in my hands, then I pull as hard as I can. And then I got this awesome shot of the wheels falling off after I'm done. So that made me feel pretty good, but boy, was the room spinning for a while. Now, since I hit that very heavy weight and it was very hot outside and the wagon wheels were out here, so it's so easy to take the weight off. Look at this, just so easy. I love using wagon wheels for this reason. It's a lot harder to take the weight off from a deadlift when you don't have the wagon wheels. But for the variation giant set, because I hit that weight and it was hot outside, I was just doing 10 reps of deadlift rows, and I was gonna make them very light because if I didn't hit that weight, then I would have made these a lot heavier and worked up to a 6 rep max. But instead, I decided just to do 3 rounds to do 10 reps of a lightweight just to finish it off in this heat. And then I didn't do the weighted ab mat sit-ups anymore. I just did straight ab mat sit-ups to finish off my core. But I continued to do that 200-meter run as I geriatrically get up from the ground, just to make sure that I'm finishing on a nice even number. And by the time I'm done running, I'll have 2 miles total of the cumulative running. And then for the assistance giant set, I was just doing some band straight arm pull downs because this is a great exercise to do to finish off your back, which my back has taken a beating, obviously. So this is just a nice exercise to do to make sure that you get that full range of motion. And then I would lay on the ground and then quickly do flutter kicks. And I made sure I was in the shade to do this because the ground was really, really hot. And then I continued to do that 200-meter run. And let me tell you something, I was dying by the end of this because my muscles and my central nervous system pretty much shut down. So now I'm just trying to make sure that I'm moving gingerly and effectively with very light weight. And so for the accessory giant set, I completely threw that out the window and decided to do some bicep curls with those wagon wheels. But that's something that I haven't done in a very long time. And I actually got better. This is the first that I did. I actually cleaned this up a little bit where I wasn't using so much body weight. And then I did some hitchhikers to finish off my back. And then I did something kind of creative. My third movement was going to be to put my weights away because I was very, very tired and I just wanted to move very gingerly but effectively. And that was the workout for the day. Alrighty, so that's going to sum up today's workout. Really appreciate everybody stopping by, and I will see you next time. Thank you.